everybody, my name's Amelia and welcome back to my channel. Okay, so for today's video, I'm doing a sort of like mini deck haul. Haul might not be the right word for this though, because I did not purchase all of these decks. These are actually just a roundup of decks that I've received during the holiday season, so during my birthday, Christmas, etc. Now, you guys have seen some of these decks featured in a few other videos that I've had, so during my tarot journal video and during my deck interview video, I featured some of the decks that I got during the holiday season, but not all of them have been shown on the channel yet, and I just wanted to keep you guys updated and show you some of the new decks since yeah, I figured you guys might be interested. We're going to talk about their zodiac signs because I give every deck, or at least every tarot deck, a zodiacal association, as well as their crystals because I also assign crystals to every single deck. So yeah, I just wanted to show you some of the decks I got and what I think of them and how I'm using them so you guys can get a better idea of what's in my collection, at least an updated version of it. Now, before we get into this video, I want to point out that one thing I do not want to do on my channel is ever push this idea that you need to spend a lot of money to enjoy tarot, nor do I want to push this idea that you need to have a massive collection of 100 or more decks. If that's what you want, then great, good for you, that's cool. But if you are someone who has only, say, 3 decks, I don't want you to look at this video and feel like you need to go out and purchase more. One thing that I've talked about on the channel before is this idea of like toxic spirituality, especially when it comes to consumerism. And I do think that there is a level where consuming and purchasing and constantly devoting all of your time, money, and energy into spiritual material objects kind of misses the point of what a spiritual journey should look like. So one thing I don't want to do is tell you to go out and buy these decks. I am simply giving you my opinions on them in case you're interested in buying them yourself, or if you are looking for a new deck, or whatever. So I wanted to preface this whole video with that idea in mind because I really value the idea of using what you have and investing in things that are really important to you and not falling into the overconsumption kind of culture that we've created, at least here in the United States. But that stuff aside, I did want to show you these decks and give you my opinions and just kind of talk and hang out and enjoy tarot. So with that all said and done, before we get into this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up if you like this kind of stuff. It really helps out me and my channel and makes me happy. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this, and if you ever have any questions or video requests, leave them down in the comments below and I will get to them. Hopefully sooner rather than later. We're done with the intro, so let's go ahead and get into the bulk of this video. Alright, hello guys. So we are at my little table and yeah, let's just go ahead and start hopping into my little mini deck haul. So here is our first deck. It is the Cats Rule the Earth Tarot. The Cats Rule the Earth Tarot was gifted to me around my birthday from a friend of mine. This friend and I, we both love tarot decks like a ton. So she purchased 2 decks out of this little deck haul, and this was one of them. This is more of the novelty deck. She got it because she thought it was kind of cute and funny, and I have 2 cats, so she thought this would be just like a quirky little thing. So I'm not going to spend too long on this stuff. I'm just going to show you kind of like the box. It has a really big guidebook, which is really cute. It has lots of spreads. It's pretty straightforward. And I actually really like this little setup because it makes it really easy to pull out the cards. So here are the backs of the cards. They do clump together, so I'm having trouble fanning them here. The cardstock is very cardboardy, in my opinion. It's flexible, but it feels very cardboardy. It's not my favorite. I do think the backs are super cute, the little like cat skull, except for it's like not anatomically correct, but and yeah, so it's basically just a Rider-Waite, it's basically just an RWS deck, pretty much just with cats involved. So, you know, there's a lot of very similar imagery, you know, with the 9 of Swords, for example. Yeah, just instead of humans, there are cats. I have not worked with this deck a ton. There's that death card that looks pretty cool. If you guys saw my last video, or no, 2 videos ago, where I showed my tarot journal, and in that I had a few spreads from this. I've also posted this deck on Indie Tarot Mystique on Instagram, so you might have seen it there. But yeah, these are like all upside down. So if you've been on my Instagram, or if you saw my tarot journal flip through, you saw like a few cards in this deck, and you might have gotten an idea of what it is. But I haven't really used it that much. Like, I used it a little bit around the time that I got it in the month of December, but I haven't really touched it since. I do feel like it's kind of just like one of those novelty decks, and I'm not really big on novelty decks, like these like cutesy little like they have like unicorns or cats or dogs or whatever, especially when they're super RWS based. I'm just not, I don't lean into it, I don't gravitate toward it. So this is definitely something that's strange, unique in my collection, because I personally would not have purchased this for myself, but I do think it's kind of a fun deck, all things considered. It's definitely adorable. When I did the deck interview with this one, it told me that it was a Leo, which I thought was hilarious, and I was like, no, you're not. You are not a Leo. And it gave me that card 3 times, so I was like, okay, I guess you are. I'm sorry for doubting you. It just felt too coinkydinky, you know, like it just felt too good to be true, right? So, but yeah, this deck is a Leo. Since I give all of my decks zodiacal associations, this deck really likes to talk about inner power. It's very encouraging. From the readings I've done with it so far, which we bonded fairly quickly, they all felt very empowering, like you got this energy, which was kind of cool. And the crystal I pair with it is the fire agate. So I also do a crystal pairing for every single deck in my collection, so zodiacal pairing and crystal pairing. So you're going to see that as we go on. The fire agate is all about courage, strength, and protection, and it rules over the sacral chakra. So that's also really cool, because I think that the crystal ties in very well with this, and I pretty much chose this crystal because I already had it in my collection and I was waiting for a deck for it, and I felt like it matched the aesthetics of the box. So that's kind of why I did it. But really, a lot of my crystal pairings become very intuitive. Sometimes they line up, sometimes they don't. So this one just happened to line up pretty well. I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle the deck for you real quick. My camera might shake because it's attached to the table, so. So it's not too hard to shuffle. The hardest part is just the fanning, I think. And it clumps when you do overhand. So that can be kind of frustrating as well. But it is a very cute deck. I just haven't used it much, so I can't really speak too much on it because I just haven't pulled it out. Okay, so the next deck I've already shown on this channel and a whole video for it by itself, and that's the Pavlov Tarot. So this deck I ordered for myself, I don't even remember when, months before it came, and it ended up being published or slash like arriving late, but I honestly don't mind because this is like a gorgeous deck. So this deck I purchased for myself, and it arrived around my birthday, which was super cool. I was really happy about that, and I have a whole video where I show my deck interview process because a lot of you guys were interested in how I interview decks and how I get to know them. So I showed a video detailing that. I will leave it in the cards and like in the description box below. But so you guys, if you want to see a deeper look at this deck, I have that video. I also have like a whole walkthrough at the beginning of the video if you want to see every card. But yeah, this is this. So it has this really cute little ribbon. It has this hardcover guidebook, and the guidebook is interesting. I don't think it's made for beginners, but it goes into the tarot meanings, some of the cards anyway, and other ones it's more like a story about the artist's life, which is also really cool. And as a person who's not a beginner, I really like that. I like knowing why the artist chose certain aesthetics on each card. So fair warning, I probably should have warned it before I showed the guidebook, but there is some nudity in this deck. That's just the ways of tarot, you know? So it has this beautiful gold foiling. or gold edging. Yeah, gilded edges. It does have gold foiling on the back, but it's these beautiful gilded edges. They are starting to wear. I've used this deck a few times. Fans beautifully. The cardstock is amazing. It's thin, but flexible, but not too thin, you know? And my cards are bowing a little bit, but I'm very harsh on my decks, so maybe that's why. And it's made of like a linen cardstock, so I really love linen cardstock. It's my favorite, so yeah. Alright, so here is what the deck looks like. It's like this vintage sort of, I don't even know, like it's not magical. It's like very much like what real life, I guess, would have been like in the past. So it's very like antique. It has like these more Renaissance-y medieval motifs. I'm not even sure what time period it's supposed to capture, but I really like it. I like whatever it's offering, I love it. And the imagery is just so cute. I'm obsessed with this. I'm obsessed with the way it looks. Sometimes I just pull this deck out to stare at it. As you can see here, there's like a color palette going on. So there's blue for the cups, red for the swords, green for wands, and orangish yellow for pentacles. So there is like a color coordination type of thing going on here. I think the images are beautiful, and I'm just obsessed. I don't know what else to say about this at the moment, because I just get captured and I get drawn into the imagery. It's gorgeous. And I have used this deck a few times. Not as much as I thought I would, but I also have been really busy in January, so while I pulled this deck out a lot in December, not as much as I expected, but I did pull it out a lot in December, I think I'm going to pull it out a bit more in the next few months, because I have been so, I don't know, all over the place with every project that I have under my belt at the moment, but I'm obsessed with this. Look how pretty that is, like the black and the red. I love the sword suit, and I'm not a huge fan of the swords as a suit anyway, but I love the colors in this. This is like adorable. Look at the sun and then the moon. Phenomenal. I love the art. I just love that. So yeah, this deck is probably one of my favorites aesthetically. Like, I think the art is just gorgeous, and so I think it's one of my favorite decks as far as like the luxury, the care that goes into it, the art. Like, it's definitely one of my favorites. This deck also, during our interview process, told me it was a Scorpio, so the zodiacal association for this deck is Scorpio. You can see me flipping through it on camera, which is really cool, like the whole deck, as well as like just getting that zodiacal card. Like I you know, drew it on camera, so that's really fun. You kind of get an idea of how I do that. But yeah, I think this is just amazing. It feels amazing. Look at that. Beautiful. It's like so smooth and so buttery. So the crystal that I associate with this one is iolite. Iolite is all about balance, responsibility, and creativity. I purchased this crystal not knowing what it represented. I just kind of did it because I liked the color. I was looking for something like bluish purple, because this deck is blue, but then also I felt like there was some kind of like third eye sort of coloration going on. I don't know. I'm really drawn to this deck as a Scorpio sun, and I'm loving the art. I wanted something special, something different, so I got iolite, and I didn't know what it meant. But yeah, it according to the web, it represents balance, responsibility, and creativity. So I think this could be a really interesting deck to work with. I don't know if it's going to be like a shadow work deck or not. So far, it hasn't given me like any crazy intense readings, but it's definitely given me readings that are thought-provoking. So that's cool. Okay, so the next deck that I got during like the holiday season was the Gold Foil Tarot. So this is the front of the box. The side has like the title Gold Foil Tarot. This box feels so strange. It's like almost like recycled material, it feels like. It's very cardboardy, but very hard. And it has like this magnetic clasp. Okay, there, I was on the back side of it. But yeah, it has this magnetic clasp. So that's pretty cool. So this deck was also gifted to me from my friend. So the same friend that got the Cats Rule the Earth Tarot, she got this. So she got me one fun novelty deck and one that was a bit more serious. I was honestly hesitant. So she warned me before we open this deck, like before I even looked at it, she warned me that this could be plastic-like, because a lot of people, I guess, were complaining in the reviews that it was very plasticky, and she bought it before she looked at all those reviews because she really liked the way it looked. And so she was kind of nervous because she told me it was going to feel like plastic, and I was like, okay, great. You know, like I felt the Modern Witch when I went to look at it during, like, at my local metaphysical shop, and I hate the way that feels. It's just too slippery, too plasticky. I'm not a fan. So I was kind of expecting that. This is not that. So I also was kind of like, oh, what an interesting tarot deck, because I knew that it was an RWS clone, and sometimes RWS clones, especially ones that don't really change the artwork that much, like, look at all this gold. The ones that don't really change the artwork. So we can see this Two of Cups here, where it's just the same Two of Cups as the traditional deck, just minus a few details, and it's in gold. Sometimes these things can feel like cash grabs to me, so I tend to avoid them. Here's the backs. Look how this shimmer. I'm going to try to move it so that way you guys can see the shimmer, because this thing cannot be caught on camera very well. So anyway, I was worried. But I'm in love with this deck. Like, I used this deck the most, like, during the holiday season, and I am still using this deck a ton. It is chipping. There's some chipping right there. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there is some chipping with the gold foiling. But honestly, I don't notice unless I'm looking for it. I am so obsessed with this deck. Let me show you how it shuffles. Or wait, let me show you the cardstock first. The cardstock is so flexible. Like, it makes that funny sound. But yeah, it's like super flexible, and it just bounces right back. I love this. I love the black edging. It's so cool. Look. It's phenomenal. I love shuffling this thing. Like, I don't know how to bridge, but I feel like I can learn to bridge with this deck. Look at this. Oh gosh, I'm already throwing things out. That's on me. That's user error. But, oh man. Just amazing. So yeah, it's just an RWS, I don't know why I have so many fuzzies in this. It's just an RWS deck with less detail, so it's a bit more minimal, and it has like this gold in it. I don't know why I love it so much, but I do. It's the feel of it, it's the gold in it, how shiny it is. It looks amazing by candlelight, which is usually when I use this deck. I read it at night by candlelight. It's phenomenal. I love this. I literally love it. It's my favorite. And it does have like that weird plasticky, it's not paper. I don't know what it is, but I think it feels amazing, and I'm kind of picky about that stuff. So it's just so cool. And so I did an interview with this deck as well. This one says it was an Aquarius, which is very funny because my friend is an Aquarius sun. And I feel like I'm getting a lot of great shadow work readings with this deck. It's doing great when it comes to career stuff, when it comes to overcoming obstacles, when it's talking about like just how to dive into your psyche and fix your own problems first, your own internal problems rather than just the external. It's doing really, really well. And again, I've used this deck probably the most out of all of these decks during the holiday season and throughout January. It's just amazing, and I wish it photographed better because I want to post about it a ton on Indie Tarot Mystique, and I want to show it here on the channel a lot more, but because of the shining gold, there's a lot of cards that just, the way it shines, you can't see what you don't even know what you're looking at, especially like if the name gets blurred out. So look at this death card. Look how crazy. I love this thing. And I feel like that shocked me because, again, I would never have chosen this deck for myself, and I love the dark colors. I never would have chosen it for myself, and it's one of my favorites, and that's so crazy because that's how the Crow Tarot was too. I never would have chosen the Crow Tarot for myself, and my friend did, and it's like my soul deck, you know, and this is like close second or third, you know. And I'm just, it blows me away how much I relate to this deck, how amazingly we bonded, and just the amazing readings I get from it. So the stone that I pair with it was originally going to be pyrite, but when I held pyrite to the deck, it just wasn't the right color because it's so gold that I'm like, maybe I should just get like actual gold and pair it, but I don't have that kind of money. So instead I have amber. So I have this little piece of amber that I pair with the deck. I like the way it, like, it's, you know, it's clear so you can kind of see the gold foiling in between it. I just think amber is really pretty. And the meanings associated with amber is serenity, protection, and healing. So I don't know if that totally vibes with this deck, but maybe the healing part. But I think the Saturn energy, because Aquarius's traditional ruler was Saturn, I think that that energy is very present in this deck. So that's also really cool. I love my shadow work decks. I love my decks that kick me in the butt and kick me in gear. So yeah, that's why this one, oh my gosh. That's why this one, you know, is one of my favorites. Okay. So the whole reason I'm making this video, actually, is not only just to show you those decks, but is to show you this next one. So I wanted to show you the decks that I got because I, you know, had that deck collection video and then I got more decks, so I wanted to keep you guys updated. But I really wanted to show you guys this deck, the deck of Luminaries Tarot. Oh my gosh. I am just gonna gush about this deck. Okay, I found it last summer. I found the Instagram page, I don't even know how, and I followed the creator and they were making this digital art deck. And the creator, it says, so down here it says by Lumaine, so Lumaine Studio, I believe. Yeah, Lumaine Studio is the creator of the deck. I think there's 2 people that took part in it. I'm really not that sure, but either way, I followed this for months. And then, of course, when the release day came, I immediately purchased, like within minutes of launch, I purchased this deck, which was silly because they actually ended up giving out an email that had a coupon code, and I didn't do that, so because I was so excited to get it and so eager to get it that I ended up not being able to use the coupon code. So good job me. I've learned my lesson. Next time a deck launches, I'm not going to immediately buy it. I'm going to wait for the email about the launch. But anyway, the deck of Luminaries Tarot, it's an indie deck. So this is not mass market. I don't even mind that it's in a tuck box, honestly. I've never been picky about packaging. I do think, like, there can be cool things in packaging, but I really don't mind. Here are the backs. Hold up, you are not even ready for this. Unless you've already seen it on my channel, then you are, but look at that color. Oh my gosh. I melt. I melt. And I haven't seen a ton of people with this deck yet, but wow. The card is like, the cardstock is flexible, it's like a linen finish, and the art, you guys, the art, it's so pretty. I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with the depictions. It's all modern day stuff, and if you guys have been on my channel for a while, you know I don't like modern decks. I don't like modern decks, and I don't like decks that depict people that look a little too realistic. This is okay. This isn't too realistic for me. And also, it's probably the only modern deck I will ever purchase, as far as I know. I cannot do the everyday witch. It's just the modern stuff in it. I can't do it. I do not gravitate towards modern decks. I'm just flipping these over so you guys can see. Okay, I flipped them up so that way they'll be upright for you, but I never, ever, ever gravitate towards modern decks. Like the Gold Foil Tarot, the reason I like it, it's RWS, easy to read, shiny, cool. The reason I love the Fyodor Pavlov is because it's very like vintage and antiquated, and I love the color palette. I love the fantastical, the magical, and the archaic, but I never ever go towards modern stuff. This one just, I don't know what it is. The color palette maybe, the characters, the way that the cards are depicted in such a beautiful modern sense. It doesn't feel like it was half-assed, if you will, pardon my language. It does not feel like they were rushing, you know, to like do the art and just come up with something like generic. Like it feels like they put a lot of thought into what the card actually means and then tried to show it in a modern way. And I'm obsessed. This Queen of Cups, look at it. She's like a scientist. Maybe she was studying mermaids. I don't know. Maybe she's trying to create a mermaid. I don't know. I can only speculate, but that is so cool. The Six of Swords, they're on a boat. There's the swords, but then they're like going somewhere. They're traveling, and she has like that really cool like travel attire. I don't know. It just is so magical and cool, like but while still being a modern thing. I am obsessed with it. It's such a cute deck. Look at it. And it is RWS like inspired, a lot of the images, but not all of them. Also, a fun thing they did in the guidebook was they named every character. So every character has a name and a small like little snippet about what's going on in the picture. So for this Five of Swords, we had this construction guy, and I'm just gonna open here we go. The guidebook says that his name is Dimitri, and it's a man gathers his tools at the end of the workday, but which of the tools belong to him and which are his co-workers? And then it gives you like some keywords for upright and reverse meanings. It's just so cute, and then the fact they named everybody, it's so cool. I love this deck. I love it. The neon lighting, like this is fantastic. And look at this, like the Four of Swords. It's not the traditional depiction. He has like these needles. He's been working hard. Maybe he's like a fashion designer or something. Like there's a story behind this, and he's like worn out, you know, he's a little tired. I love this. And I didn't think I was going to love this, like a modern deck, and I saw the art and I fell in love, and yes. Here's the thing. This deck has an attitude. This deck and I are starting to bond. So by this point, I know I mentioned in my video, oh, what video did I mention this is? Oh, my tarot journal video. I mentioned in that video how this deck was not really being friendly with me. It was not loving my presence, okay? And I ended up working with it a little bit since then, and we are finally starting to get on the same page. We're starting to understand each other, and it gave me a really good reading the other day. So I'm very happy with it at the moment, because we're building a bond. We are creating a bond. We are working together, and I feel like it's finally, you know, starting to get somewhere. I want to do more work to get to know this deck. Like I want to continue working with it. It's, oh yeah, this is the artist's card, so it's the extra card. It's called the Luminaries. Look how cute that is. So yeah, I'm working to understand this deck and create a relationship with it. And so I'm hoping that eventually, you know, we'll get to a place where we can really bond. I was going to film the tarot in practice, kind of like I did for the Mystic Fairy Tarot, but I just don't know if I'm gonna have the time to do it, and I really want to work with this deck, so I don't want to put it off too long. Here's the shuffle. Oh my god. It's my favorite kind of cardstock. I love this. One thing I don't have a ton of is indie decks in my collection. I really need to find other indie decks, but indie decks can get really expensive, and this one is super affordable. So if you're looking for an affordable indie deck, if you like digital art, if you like modern decks, like this is the one. This is the one I would recommend. Just look at that color. Oh my gosh. So I will say, when it comes to this deck, it's a super affordable indie deck, which is great, but it's made me want to venture out into more indie decks. But a lot of indie decks are very expensive, and I only have 2 indie decks in my entire collection. Is that correct? I only have 2. Everything else has been picked up by a big publisher. Like, I know the Fyodor Pavlov was originally an indie deck, but it became mass market, so I have a lot of decks like that, but an actual like just indie deck. And I don't know, I want to support indie artists and indie authors because I myself am an indie author. I don't publish tarot decks, but I publish books, and small business, like supporting small business, supporting indie is just something that I really want to start doing more. And it can be difficult if you're trying to save money, and I think this is a really great deck if you want to support indie, you like the art, and you want to save money. I think it's like $36. I have no idea how much it is, but it's really affordable for an indie deck. I'm obsessed. I'm so glad that I have this in my collection. I'm so excited to bond with it. The deck, I believe, is an Aries. I tried asking, the deck would not tell me. It was giving me attitude. I'll have to ask it again later, but I think it's an Aries because we're butting heads. There's sort of this power struggle between us. As a Scorpio sun, I'm feeling like that's the energy I'm getting from this, but also the deck itself just has that attitude. It's fiery, it's excited, it's bold, and so I'm kind of feeling Aries energy, but I don't know for sure. The stone that I paired with this one is the Dragon's Blood Jasper. I chose it because of all the colors that are in it, and I think it works really well with such a colorful deck. The Dragon's Blood Jasper, wow, it's a mouthful, that stone, it represents courage, strength, and vitality. So I feel like that blends very well with this deck's energy, and I don't want it to like lose its vibrancy and lose its sort of almost aggressive, but more like its very strong attitude. I don't want it to lose that. So even though I'm trying to work with it, I want it to remain very bold and excited, I guess. I don't know what else to say about that, but I love this. Fantastic. 10 out of 10. 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10, I don't know, like off the charts, right? I love this deck. Okay, so I have one more deck to show that's kind of like an honorable mention because I wasn't actually going to show it in this video. It's not a tarot deck, and I haven't really used it for divinatory work, but I'll show you. So during the holidays, for Christmas, I asked my parents for a book. And I'll show you the book because I ended up buying it for myself because my parents, I'll explain it. But here's the book. It's called Signs and Skymates. It's the ultimate guide to astrological compatibility by Dosevia Trenau. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I am so sorry. But Dosevia, and I think I'm pronouncing that right. I might not. She is an African astrologer. When I first followed her, she had her page Scorpio Mystique on Instagram, and I still follow that page to this day. But I followed that page back when I was 13, so that's almost 10 years ago. I followed Scorpio Mystique on Instagram, and she posted daily horoscopes on Instagram, and before that, she posted them on Twitter. And when I was 13, I found her, I followed her, and she's ultimately one of the main reasons I got into astrology in the first place. It's really cool to follow somebody for that long and see them change and grow and step into their power, you know, like in their own way. Anyway, she published her very first book, which is so cool. I have loved her horoscopes for so long. I feel like she is one of the best, like, Scorpio, at least, astrologers. I do follow her Know the Zodiac page, but the Scorpio horoscopes are the ones that resonate with me on like a whole other level. I have never read another horoscope that quite impacts me the same way. Like example, the other day I was talking to my partner about how I was thinking a lot about my family life and my career life and my overall trajectory on my life path and where I want to go. And I'm gonna pull up that horoscope because there was this moment where I was, and I can't even have a time limit. I'm going over the time limit for this. Okay. One of the sentences says, "It may be a time of evaluating what you have the capacity to take on professionally this year, while also harmonizing your career trajectory with your family values." Like, that was exactly what I literally had that conversation before I read the horoscope. And I used the word trajectory before I read that horoscope. And I was just like, yes, every time. That's how her horoscopes are for me. Every time I think of a thing or I'm feeling it already, I see her horoscope and it matches so perfectly that it's honestly crazy. I love it. So anyway, she has her own website, and she does offer birth chart readings, or she did for when this was launching. I'm not entirely sure what she has at the moment. She also has like a year overview for your zodiac sign and such. There's a lot of cool stuff that she does. I do not have a ton of money, but I do have money to purchase this book, and so I did. And I'm currently reading it. It is a thick one. That's where I am. It's so cool though, and so far I'm loving it. Anyway, the point of the whole thing was that this this is the book I wanted for Christmas, and I asked my parents for it, but she has 3 different products under like the same name. So there's like the book, there's an oracle deck, and there is like a journal, and there might be a 4th option, like a 4th thing, I don't remember. But my parents ended up purchasing the deck for me because they know I love decks, and so I think they were thinking I wanted the deck, not the book. Maybe they were confused, I don't know. But yeah, so there's this little deck. I will say the packaging is very cute, it's very well made. It has this little guidebook which just slips in this like little sleeve here. It's a cute little guidebook. But the deck, I don't know how often I'm going to use it. I will praise this creator all the time, over and over and over again. But I don't like the deck, and that's not to bash her or her work at all, because like I said, she has amazing work. But I've separated my deck, so this is the stuff I will use, but I'll put that to the side. Here's the backs. Totally fine, just the name of the deck, okay? I love the well, not gilded, but the golden sides. They're very sparkly, it's cool. On the front, these are all the compatibility things between zodiac signs. So Capricorn and Aquarius, who they are, where you'll find them, what you'll remember. I don't feel like this is helpful to me though. I don't feel like it's helpful at all. And I have the book, and the book dives into this stuff so much more that I just don't really feel like I need to know like this. Like I don't want to pull a card and just pull it out and be like, ah, Scorpio and Aquarius, the legendary rebels. They'll be rallying the masses for humanitarian cause, and you'll remember that they may butt heads, but they also make each other stronger. Like I just don't know how you would use that in a divinatory sense. So I'm not a huge fan of the majority of the deck because I don't know how I would use it. The guidebook is interesting because I'm going to open this up real quick and show you the Scorpio and Aquarius one. So in the guidebook it says, these fixed signs live by their own rules and set their own standards. Their resistance to authority is a big reason they're able to begin a relationship in the first place. That's cool. I think that's an interesting thing. It's not on the card, and honestly, I would rather have that on the card than this stuff. But again, I don't think I'm going to use the cards because I just don't know how. So it's not like a traditional oracle. Now the thing I do like is this portion of the deck, and it is like the actual zodiac sign, Cancer, Pisces, tells you the dates, planetary ruler, you know, a motto, I'm nothing and everything at once. The motto, I think, is what could be really helpful in a reading. Like Virgo, I see myself so clearly, like that's really cool. And then there's also like, you know, the planets, and it has, this is all mixed up, the planets, and it has like all of these like this little information, I think. And I think this could be useful, you know, overall, like my own little astrology deck, but it's very, very tiny. But I feel like I can use this portion, and I have used it a couple times. It's okay, it adds something. And if I'm correct, I think, like, so here, let me go to Cancer real quick. In the guidebook, Cancer, the little snippet says, Cancer's intuitive and psychic nature always allows them to do most of their work in a subconscious, behind-the-scenes way. Their thoughts and words are spells, and they're very much aware of it. That's cool. I kind of would have rather had that than all of this information on the card, except for maybe the motto. I like having the motto on the card, but maybe have this on there instead of all that stuff and put that stuff back in the guidebook. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. So I haven't used this very much. I think I might use a little bit of it as like altar cards, but otherwise I just don't see myself using this. And so far it has just sat like on my altar, well, in my altar like storage part. It's like a storage table. It sits in there, and I just haven't touched it. I've used it twice or 3 times, and that's it. And I just don't gravitate toward it. However, the book is amazing. I am loving this thing so much so far. I feel like I'm learning a lot. It's really cool to see to learn more about her African heritage, and to learn about just all these like cool things when it comes to deities and the pantheon. It's really nice, and she's connecting it to astrology. I'm loving it. But the deck itself, just not a huge fan of. So yeah, I have it, it's cool, I got this for Christmas, but I just don't see myself using it very much. So these were all the decks that I got at the end of December. At the end of 2022, these are all the decks that I had, and that kind of wraps up the deck haul that I had. So yeah, we're gonna go into some final thoughts and close out the rest of this video. Alright, and that was a look at all the decks I've received / purchased during the holiday season. Now I do have a few more decks coming in soonish, maybe. I pre-ordered a couple things that won't be here for a long time, but I've also purchased a few decks recently because I've just felt like I've needed to at least fluff out my Oracle collection. So I will be talking about Oracle decks at some point soon because I personally don't have that many and I don't favor Oracle, but I'm trying to expand and find decks that really speak to me. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I hope that you found decks that either speak to you, or maybe you have some interesting thoughts. Maybe you own some of these decks and you want to have a conversation with me. If you do, by all means, let's talk about it in the comments below. And yeah, with that said, that's it for today. So, thank you again for watching, and I